Right, well, the magic number we'll be looking at tonight, tomorrow and probably for a couple of days, 270 electoral votes it will take to be the president at the end of what has been an extraordinary 2020 race. Joe Biden is sitting at 238 tonight, Donald Trump at 213. On the ground, right amongst it all in New York City, is the local, but Australian too, Sky News host, Outsiders co-host James Morrow. James, I've not been envious that you're getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning and it's freezing cold, but I'm sort of envious now that you're right in the middle of things in New York. Give us a sense of what it's like on election night.
Well, Peter, it's not that I got up at 3 in the morning. Actually, we just haven't slept. So we've been up for a couple of days now covering all of this. The atmosphere here in New York it's been tense, but actually startlingly calm. There's police everywhere. Shops have been boarded up everywhere, especially in, high street fashion districts. We were down in Soho earlier today, and at one particular fashion corner, every single shop on each of the four corners was boarded up with plywood. Same thing all up and down Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue. So there's been a real expectation that there would be some sort of civil unrest. Shopkeepers I spoke to said, we were expecting something. That said, I see cops everywhere. I haven't heard much activity in this regard, so I think that's a good result. I don't know what's happening in Washington. The mood is tense and calm, but tense but calm, I guess, if that's not too much of a paradox right now.
I've been listening to all manner of commentators here in Australia for the past few weeks and a whole lot of different channels today. The so-called silent Trump votes caught many of them by surprise, but, not if you're watching Sky News, because particularly when you and Rita got to the US and you're out there and we could see the momentum, the enthusiasm in these Trump rallies, people turning up 4 and 5 hours before the president would arrive on the Air Force One, or people in just quarters, areas down south in Florida, that there was going to be no presidential rally, but just in their pickup trucks, all decked out with paraphernalia, driving in these convoys through towns as a real signal that there was this Trump army out there pushing the vote. That's no surprise to you and me, the result tonight, but this is where there's a real disconnect between what the media is saying and what's happening on the ground.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, as you say, Rita and I saw all sorts of evidence that the wind was really in Trump's sails. We saw this across Pennsylvania. We went to this rally that Trump held in Scranton the day before the election, and there were people we talked to who had been camping out in freezing cold, biting cold temperatures overnight just to go and see the president speak at one of these really fun festivals. They're not just a speech. It's almost like a music festival, these sorts of events. But, the media that failed to see the shy Trump effect is also, I think, the same media that caused the shy Trump effect in the United States. This is the same media which talked down to Trump voters, which said they were deplorable, which backed in every sort of claim of the radical left that these people had something to be ashamed of. And so no wonder people who said, no, actually, I think Trump has done a good job with the economy. Actually, I like what Trump is saying about the culture and that the schools should not be teaching our kids a lot of, far left, radical left, Marxist nonsense. I think he's right about that. All of this stuff, they caused this situation, and then, they're surprised suddenly when people don't want to talk to pollsters. It's a real moment, I think, of self-reflection for the media in the United States, which instead of doing what they should have done in 2016 and learned their lesson and talked to the people, decided to double down with this elite, or as I prefer to call them, elect sort of thinking that they were on the side of the righteous and everybody else was on the side of the wrong and the uncouth and the ungodly and needed to be corrected and shamed for their views. Well, no wonder people didn't talk to them. No wonder people, Peta, didn't tell pollsters where they were going to go with their vote.
And also a country that's got more guns than people, this idea that you would defund the police. Every American would be sitting there thinking, middle of the night, I hear a bump, do I ring 000? Do I have police here on duty now?
Yeah.
Or we don't have police, and where's the budget? I mean, I thought when the BLM movement went as far as it did, right, and you had all of those cities basically in lockdown, and you had all of those businesses owned by black shopkeepers torched and damaged, and they were begging the protesters to pull back. And then there was all of these moves and agreement about defunding police forces. I thought that was a huge turn for Trump.
I think you're absolutely right, Peter, and it points to this much bigger problem that the Democrats have. They used to be the party of the little guy, the party of the small householder, the small shopkeeper, that sort of thing. The Republicans were the party of big business and big capital. Now the Democrats are the party of big business and big capital, and the Republicans are left to defend, the ordinary man on the street who looks at this idea that, somebody's breaking into your house. Well, we'll send a social worker over to talk to them about why their childhood was messed up and why they've made such bad choices in their life that they're breaking into your home. A lot of people heard the way the Democrats, even if defunding the police wasn't their official policy or Biden's official policy, they played enough footsie with the radicals for whom it was policy that people just didn't trust them. And again, so many people we spoke to in country Pennsylvania, small towns, said, defund the police. That was one of the first things when I said, what is it that really worries you about Joe Biden? What's your big issue with Trump? Why are you for Trump against Biden? One of the big things, law and order, defund the police. These people were really nervous that if Biden and the Democrats came to power, Peter, that, they would lose their police force. And in these small towns, they like their cops. They don't see their cops as, these brutal sort of people. They see them as, parts of their community that protect them and keep them safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your coverage. I know we're going to be talking to you tomorrow and the next day till we get a final result. But it's been terrific to date. You're on the money all the way through. Great to have you on the show, James Morrow.
Thanks, Peter. Speak soon.